Hello, everyone. You all know me, but since this is going to be put up on a replay, I'm just going to quickly present myself, introduce myself. So I'm Joanna, the flower mystic, and I guide women to the divine feminine through plant ceremonies and devotional service. So mostly using plants, sound, dance, and everything that is frequency and vibration, which is dance, sacred geometry, sound, all of that stuff, plants. The whole of life, actually. We'll go into that in a bit. And we are going to start straight off with a bit of explanation of what is this Lion Gate 888 portal. Armel, do you understand everything I'm saying? Yeah? Okay, cool. I'll carry on then. So, the Lion's Gate portal, every year for about 2 weeks, there's an opening end of July, beginning of August, where so Sirius is a double star system, and it rises up throughout this 2-week phase. And at its point, it's on between the 7th and 8th of August. And it's a celestial embodiment of Isis. And at that date, the 7th and 8th of August, it's completely aligned with the sun and with the Sphinx in Giza in Egypt. And it's said to open up a spiritual portal for transformation and really powerful spiritual energy. At the same time, for the last few weeks or months, I've been really intuiting. Someone else wants to come in. I've been really intuiting that the 888 number is completely related to Isis. Goddess Isis, I'm talking about, by the way, just so I don't get any bad stuff put on me. So 888, I've been really intuiting and channeling that number is related to Isis and all the work I do with Goddess Isis. And then I learned that a lot of people have been channeling that the number 888 is to do with the Isis energy. So putting all the pieces together, this portal is a really powerful portal for channeling Isis energy. This year is 2024. 2 + 2 + 4 = 8. So this year is the first year in a long time where instead of just 8th of August, it's actually 888. And this year, being the year of the 8, we have a second 888 portal on the 8th of October, 2024. October is the original 8th month of the year before the Christians changed the calendar. So this year we have 2 really strong 888 portals today, and one in October where I'll talk about it later, but I'm starting a full initiation on the path of Isis on that day, the 8th of October, 2024. Have I said everything? So the number 8 in numerology represents leadership, full power, revealing your full, complete, all-rounded power, basically. So again, it's a really, really powerful number. I keep saying that word, but it really is really powerful. Okay, I'm going to go really quick. If you have any questions, write them in and I'll read them as I go and answer them. We're going to jump into, oh yeah, I really wanted to talk about the divine, because obviously I'm a God freak. That is my life, is to just be with God. For those, I mean, you all know me, so you all know that. True love of my life. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. I did a video a few weeks ago, I think, on the divine feminine, and what it means when I use the words God or goddess. For those who have just come in, I would love for you to put your video on without your microphone so that I can see you if you know how to put your camera on. So I did a video about this, but I want to repeat it for those who haven't watched the video. Okay, and like that, you know what I'm talking about when I say God. I'm not talking about any religious perspective. So we'll go into a brief explanation, as brief as I can. Let's visualize that Godhead, the absolute point of creation, is this ball of hand here. You can also see it as Big Bang. It's the one point, the ultimate absolute source where everything came from, okay? So this Godhead, in its desire to know itself and create, it expanded. So we don't have a word for it in the human language, I think, for it's multiplied and it's divide, but it basically has separated itself into many beings. And each part of this, every single little part has the full potential of the absolute Godhead. But because it doesn't know itself fully, it has it in a lower capacity than the absolute Godhead. All of these beings then also multiply or divide and continue to expand. And each level is the higher you are to God, basically, the higher the power. So the first division would be the gods, the goddesses, such as Isis, Ma'at, Shiva, Krishna, angels, so Angel Michael, Angel Raphael, Angel whoever, all of these really high beings, they're at this level. Then they divide again and again, and then it becomes the spirits of nature, the I don't know, other beings, and then it divides again, and then we have the humans. So let's bring it to the level of the human. Oh my God, we can go even deeper. Okay, so let's say all of this now is, that's Emily, that's me, that's Ines, Ahmed, Daria, whoever else is here, all these beings. But this is your higher self, okay? So let's take one. I'll talk about myself. I don't want to put anyone, boom, I'm talking about you. So I'll talk about myself. Let's say this is one of the divisions is me. This is the higher self of Joanna. This then being divides again into every being that I am. So there's one here in front of you, but then there's a me in every single plane of existence, in every universe, in all the aspects of the multiverse and planes that we don't understand. But each of them, including myself here, is connected to my higher self, and you are connected to your higher self. When you connect to your higher self, you have access to the full knowledge, the full life experience, the full wisdom of every aspect of you in all the planes of existence. And everyone's higher selves is constantly communicating. If you imagine that above the earth, there's like a layer in the, hey Joey, in the atmosphere that is just the higher selves constantly talking to each other like a web of beings. When we access that higher self, then we access other people's knowledge and wisdom telepathically, or whatever term you want to use it. There's another term that people use now in the science world. I've forgotten it. Anyway, going all the way back up, talking about frequencies. The lower down you are, the furthest away you are from God, the lower the frequency. The frequency means the speed of vibration. So when things vibrate, this is a really high frequency. You can hardly see my hands. And then this is a really low frequency. So you can see them really well, okay? And that's actually a really good example, because the higher the frequency is, the less you can see it. Because you capture things that are in your zone of frequency. So things are slightly higher, slightly lower, and at your frequency, you get them. You see them, you experience them. The others you don't. So there's loads of things that we don't know that are here, that we can't see, that we can't hear even. Sounds like dogs can hear and stuff, because they're outside of our frequency zone. So we can see each other because whether or not we have the same frequency, we're in that same kind of human zone of frequency. So we capture each other. You tend to attract what's at the exact frequency as you. That's what you learn in manifestation, for example, like get to the frequency of what you want so that then you can attract it into your life. That's not what we're talking about today. So as we go higher up to these different beings, the frequency is much higher. So for example, angels and gods, their frequency is so high that we just absolutely don't see them. We don't capture them in our day-to-day life. Also here, because our frequency is so low, we are separate beings. We have completely separated. We no longer vibrate together. But higher beings like angels or gods, their frequency is so high, their vibration is so high that they actually merge, and they're no longer in this duality that we are. They're much more closer and combined, like combined beings. right up until you get to the one unit point of Godhead, which is the highest frequency possible. There is no separation at all within that zone. Okay, so I went way further than I expected to go. Okay, so all that to say, we are all God. Yay, did you like that explanation? So we are all God. We are all parts of the same energy. I'm going to read my notes so that I don't get too lost. God is not the absolute, God is not only the absolute, but is also the only thing that exists. If you come back to this point of existence, this point of creation, everything has come from this one point. So just as they talk about it in science, when the Big Bang happened, everything that exists was created in that one bang. Nothing can be created or destroyed. You just cannot destroy or create anything other than came from that point. So everything that exists is God. If you believe this point is God, then everything is made of God texture or material, whatever you want to call it. This energy is all the same point. So we are all God. God is the source and the only material, the fabric, that exists. So everything is made of godness. That's a word I made up for the French people. That's not a real word, godness. Godness gracious me. Okay, so when we talk about goddess or a god, so when I say, because I often say goddess, I used to say God, these days I say goddess or the divine, so that people don't get confused, because the divine can be interpreted by anyone for whatever they want it to mean. To me, that's the same thing. Simply that saying God often refers to more masculine traits and goddess refers to more feminine traits. Again, from this dual human perspective of black and white, female, male, good, bad, yin, yang, all of that actually doesn't exist. That's the secret we'll talk about very soon. So simply and goddess refers to the more feminine traits. Okay, the reality is that God is neutral. Beyond feminine and masculine, beyond duality, and even beyond Trinity. Now, Trinity is a very important point that we'll talk about again later. Which means that us humans are feminine and masculine, and also we are beyond that. We are neutral souls, parts of neutral God, that are born sometimes in female bodies, sometimes in masculine, sometimes in intersex. That really doesn't actually matter. But you can, what's this saying? Sorry, it's my first time on this paid Zoom, so there's loads of options popping up at me. This is being recorded, by the way, just so you know. Okay, let's carry on. So you can stop with me here in terms of understanding the divine. You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to, you can close your ears, because the next part is what I base all of my teachings on. So we're going a little bit further down into what the divine means. But if you don't believe this, I am not here to convince anybody. I'm just here to blurt out what I have channeled and also have learned and lived, because I have studied and lived many religions and traditions. So I'm combining all of that, as well as sacred geometry and all these different things I've learned from, and my own channeling. Okay, so let's go for the more scary parts. Not scary. What's the word? Alternative? I don't know. Unconventional. If we shift our perspective slightly and realize that neutral is in fact feminine. Boom. Have you heard that before? The world is feminine. The earth is feminine. All souls are feminine. Everything is feminine. Now we're going from this perspective, and this is going to change a lot of what we understand in life and in the world. Now we see that, and male, sorry, I'm trying to read my notes at the same time, and masculine has been created and put in contrast to the neutral force of feminine. Now we see that when a human is born into a female body, she has the amazing opportunity to come closer and fully align with the divine force of God. When we are born in a male body, we have the test of choosing to surrender and worship the feminine, not worship woman, worship the feminine, which is the full divine energy. Or we may feel, as a man, we may feel the need to dominate and manipulate in order to find this equality. A lot of men suffer from fear of the feminine, from misunderstanding and putting the feminine away because it seems too complicated to understand from a male perspective. But it's because this is not a man's world, contrary to everything we've been taught. Let me go back to my notes. It's a test of ego. When we are born as a woman, the test of ego is much smaller because we are already closer in alignment with the divine. So when you're born in a female body, it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you may have been born as a man before, or you may be born as a man after, but every time you're born in a woman body, you have that mad opportunity to align fully your soul, feminine soul, with your feminine body and discover all the aspects of God. Men and women can equally be as spiritual, but men have to work a lot harder to be spiritual than women. Oh, there was one man on here and he's left. That's okay. So the world is not a man's world, which is why he is always in competition with it and trying to change it. So saying the word goddess instead of God is a way to remember the feminine energy as the original creator, caregiver, lover of the human being, and remembering the feminine love of goddess. Okay. That is it. I'm going to move on because I see it's already 8:20. Okay, so now, oh yeah, well, let's go to Trinity, since I mentioned that. The triangle. One of my favorite things to talk about. So there is the triangle. Yay, here we go. We can all triangle each other. Open up this strong portal. So the triangle, that is the feminine. It's the womb. It's the earth. Yay, we can fly like an eagle. So the triangle, again, I'm not going to go into the full meanings in sacred geometry because that is a lot more in depth. As I've already mentioned, and we'll talk about more later, in the full 8-week initiation in October, we go a lot more in depth in sacred geometry because it is so important for healing and for frequencies to understand sacred geometry, frequency of forms. For today, we're using the triangle as in Trinity, understanding the 3 aspects of the 3 forces of life on earth. So there's the unity, God, and then it divides into duality, as we said earlier, black, white, man, woman, yin, yang. And no, it's wrong. We very often forget the topper point because bottom right is feminine, bottom left is masculine, and we forget the top up, which is neutral. So today, because I've just explained to you my view of God and goddess, we are only going to talk about feminine. And now we're only women in the room, so we're going to talk about developing your full potential as a woman healer. So now we're going to forget the notion of masculine just for the moment. Bottom right is passive, bottom left is active, and the top bit is neutral. You can write that down if you want in your notebook. Passive, active, neutral. These are the 3 forces of life on earth. The Trinity in its real neutral meaning, taking it away from Christianity, also taking it away from the understanding of the Virgin, the Mother, and the Crone. I don't follow along with the Virgin, the Mother, and the Crone. We can talk about it probably another time for that point. But anyway, this is the full Trinity in sacred geometry. Passive. Okay, I'll take out my other notes because this is really interesting. So if we're talking about a woman, the passive energy is what for at least hundreds or thousands of years, women have been categorized as passive. And for a woman to be valuable and successful, she had to be passive. That means being the mother, the lover, the sweetness, the woman who wants to take care of her home and cook delicious foods and have beauty around her and lovely scents and flowers. That is the passive energy of the divine feminine. And then with the rise of feminism and women becoming independent, there was a massive shift into active, or got to go and get what I want. I'm going to fight for this. I'm independent. I'm not going to rely on anyone. That is the active force. Neutral. Actually, let's stay on the two bottom ones for now, because these are the ones we really understand. So passive is those mornings when you wake up feeling like a fairy princess. You're like, oh, today I feel like, yeah, I just want to dance and sing and cook food at home and be with my lover and be sensual and beautiful. Those are those days, and they're so wonderful. I love those days. I kind of feel like that today. Then you have the active days where you feel like, I am a freaking ninja warrior goddess today and I'm gonna slay. And those are really cool days. I'm not in one of those quite today, but I love that energy as well. The neutral point is that day when you wake up detached. You don't want to spend the day with your kids or with your partner or with your friends, but you don't want to go out and be active and work. You're kind of just detached in a meditative space. It's the very kind of, which side was feminine again? Passive. So it's what's been bottom right. And then bottom left is active, which is often seen as a masculine trait. So the neutral point at the top is that space where you're really meditative and detached. So to go in more detail, as I do plant ceremonies, and there's one of you, Armel, who's been to a lot of my plant ceremonies, so you will remember some of these. The passive energy is represented by the rose. Before I talk about this, so this triangle, so this is how you be your full multidimensional self, to be in the full divine feminine and to be the most powerful you that you can be, is understanding these three forces. On the days you wake up like a fairy princess, don't force yourself to do anything else but sing and dance and talk to butterflies. On the days you wake up like a freaking warrior goddess, don't force yourself, even if you've been categorized as a little butterfly baby, you are waking up as a warrior goddess today, so you go full on and do your warrior shit. And if you've been categorized as a hardcore independent woman, but you wake up on a fairy princess day, then be the fairy princess. There's no one here to tell you what to do. You have to follow, really like intuit what you're feeling, really get in tune with what your body and your soul is asking you, and you follow it. That is how you be a strong leader and a strong priestess and a strong healer, by simply following what your body and soul is telling you to do, not by forcing yourself to be what you're not in that day. Same the neutral. If you wake up feeling neutral, and yeah, a lot of us have responsibilities. We can't just be in meditation all day and tell our kids to make their own food, obviously, depending on how old they are. But if you've woken up in a meditative state, quite detached, try to stay in that zone, even throughout going to work or being with family. Try and stay in that detached mode, because in that neutral state is where loads of channeling happens without you even having to try. So when you're in that neutral state, try and stay calm and detached that day to allow all of that channeling to come through. Sometimes you will need to balance them, because it's all nice and easy and lovely to say just follow how you're feeling. But if for the last 30 years you have been in passive mode, allowing everyone to do everything around you, and you just kind of watching it and having no action in your life, then clearly there's an imbalance, and it's the time now to work on that. So the way I see it in my life is I allow my energies to go full on, even for a few days. The one I get stuck in the most is neutral, but sometimes for It happened recently. I think like the whole March, April, and May, for 3 months, I was stuck in neutral. I was just channeling and I was just in meditation. And then like my boyfriend at one point was like, where the fuck are you? Like, we haven't spoken even though we're in the same house. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I kind of like just completely zoned out in like my topper point there. My crown chakra and third eye was so like, whoa. And in that case, when it's been that long, clearly there was an imbalance. I needed to come back and like be embodied and really ground. So you can tell that with yourself. If after a few days you realize you're still passive or you're still really active and it's starting to impact aspects of your life, it's time to just come back to yourself, realize which point you've been in, and do some practices to balance that out. So we can go into some practices today. But again, the full on, I won't have time in an hour. That will be during the full initiation in October. So passive energy is rose. So if you have an imbalance, you can have a rose ceremony, which I teach actually in the initiation as well. And so the just to go into more detail, the rose is to the passive, and that's when you're really in your heart and womb. So if you've drawn your triangle, under the bottom right, you can write passive, rose ceremony, being in the heart and womb. So when you need to balance out and come back into passive, focus on your heart and sacral chakras. Really be following your heart and your womb. Follow them. Listen to what they're telling you. And it's all about sensuality and love. The element is water, flowing with water, and the crystal is rose quartz. If you, what have I written here? Oh, mushrooms. Oh yeah, that was a reminder. I need to learn. I want to take mushrooms, basically. That was another note on that page. Bottom left, active energy. So when you're lacking in active is not just a hardcore motherfucker. It's also really positive. It's justice. It's holy anger. It's the mother who's witnessed her child being abused and wants to get in there and fight for their life, fighting for the people you love, fighting to get something for yourself. This is all really positive, active. And this is hibiscus. Hibiscus is that red, powerful flower. If you're lacking in active energy, drink hibiscus and do some dancing. So this is active. It's head and genitals. So sometimes when you've been stuck too long, you realize you're thinking a lot, you're planning a lot. I mean, not planning, it's more like you're just really high up there. And also you're very passionate. You're really passionate. So you might want to have loads of sex, or you're passionate about the thing that you're doing so much so that it's like you can't see anything else that's around it. But if you're lacking in that, it's about coming back into the head and the genitals. So come back really to, it seems like a weird mix, but third eye and root, those two, when you combine them, you get a really good active balance, because you're bringing the passion of the rooted groundedness and the intellect. And that's how you be really good active. Sorry if I'm speaking weird. I live in France, so like sometimes my words get mixed up. Anyway, the element is fire. And the quartz you can use is strawberry quartz. Strawberry quartz. And Armel, you can give me a nod. Were you at rose or hibiscus? Did you do a rose or hibiscus ceremony? Or lavender? Were you
Lavender and rose.
And rose. Oh, you did. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, oh, you were at the lavender one. That was nice. So lavender. Okay, so now we're going to go to the top point, neutral. When you're lacking, when you feel like you just can't ground yourself, you can't meditate, you feel like you've been out of that space, out of your neutral space, and you're always either active or passive, letting things happen or being in the action, but you're not able to just detach yourself from the situation and be like from that far away observer, which is where sometimes you really get the potent ideas without trying. That's lavender. You have a lavender ceremony. So I can talk about the ceremonies after, how to do them. So lavender is the top. So it's mind and soul. So this is the crown chakra, pure crown chakra. But it's, okay, actually write crown chakra and root as well, because it's a very grounded kind of openness. This is when you feel in abstinence or contraception in terms of sexually, but also in terms of, yeah, that detached way. And if you're lacking that, you want to bring in some clear quartz and some, yeah, really the root and crown. Just, you need to ground and sky yourself, if that makes sense. You've got to really get the balance between the two. That's how you get to the distance. So you might notice that I haven't mentioned air, and air is because that is the circle, and that is something that I'm keeping. That's quite a occult knowledge that I'm keeping just for people who are initiated on the Isis way. So I didn't even mention, so the 8-week initiation is initiation on the path of Isis. It's called the golden path of Isis. Okay, so that's enough about the triangle. But what's important to understand with this trinity of forces is that you need all three to be your full powerful self. This is the multidimensionality of life. You're not black or white. You're not yin or yang. You're the complete thing. And as a woman, you have the potential to be the complete multidimensionality of Godhead. And it doesn't mean that all three have to be in balance every second of every day, because we are cyclical beings. Especially when you're in a woman body, you really understand that you are a cyclical being, which means sometimes you're in point neutral, sometimes you're in point passive, sometimes you're in point active. And what's important is to never block yourself. You are the circle that goes around the triangle. And the circle that goes around the triangle goes around all three. So don't ever worry. Don't force yourself to get out of it, unless, like I said, you're staying for too long in one zone. But really, it's about listening to how you feel every morning and be that new person every morning. Don't get stuck on who you were yesterday, because that's the best way to get stuck on everything. And you won't be able to help anyone if you're stuck on who you think you are or who people think you are. You are a new you every single day. And that's what's really important, to bring in the channeling and your full self, is to remember that every morning you have a chance to be a new person. And you can be the same as yesterday. Obviously, we don't change that much, but your mood will change. And especially because we have our cycle, every day we're shifting a little bit, our hormones, our moods. And it's so important to really follow what our body is telling us. If there are any questions, again, please write them down in the chat. Okay, let's move on. Oh my God, it's 8:37. Well, can I get a yes in the chat if we can stay till 9:15? Or if anyone wants to say no, please tell me no. But if I can go until 15:15, that'd be great. Yeah? Armel as well? Toi, tu vas partir? C'est OK? Et si je continue jusqu'à écart? Okay, cool. So I just needed to check that. Cool. So that means we've got time, because now continuing on from the triangle and everything I've just mentioned about healing, we're now going to talk about the golden triangle of Isis. Now, I would love to know if any of you have heard about this. No? Shake your head as a yes if you've heard of the golden triangle of Isis. Joey saying no. Is Charlie still next to you? I can't see anything. Oh, hey, I can see a hand. Okay, so the golden triangle of Isis is a healing modality that comes down from goddess Isis, as you probably imagined. And it's been a hidden knowledge for a really, really long time. And actually, it's been channeled back by French people in the last, probably, I don't know. I don't think it's more than 5 years. I would say between 5 and 10 years it's come back. And it's being channeled now all over the world by different people. It's a knowledge that is no longer occult. It is now becoming a cult, which means a known path. The opposite of occult, which is an unknown path. Obviously, we are not turning into a cult. but it is a known knowledge now. So more and more of us are initiating people on this path so that this healing can become more and more common, just like Reiki did when it first came about. It was very, very secretive, and now you can type in Google Reiki and all the symbols are up there. If you type in the golden triangle of Isis, I've tried it in several languages, the real symbol never comes up. So the actual symbol I will not reveal to you today. It's not just a triangle, it's a triangle with other parts in it. You could only get that if you do the initiation. It's not yet, it's still secretive enough, which keeps its power, because the less, even though more people do it, the stronger it becomes. But people who don't know how to do it, if the knowledge is not revealed to these people, it's also stays even stronger, if that makes sense. You have to understand what you're doing in order to see the symbol. It's really important. In Reiki, that's really important as well. If I know Joey is a Reiki master, I believe. You know that especially the last symbols, you should never reveal to anyone unless they are initiated, because it really keeps the potency. So it's a healing method. Oh, I didn't talk about Isis, about Goddess Isis. Let me quickly recap this. So Goddess Isis, I think if you're here, you've heard of her, you know who she is. You probably studied her at school. You've probably seen her in loads of different places, because she really is coming awake in these last times, which is so exciting. Oh, what shivers. So Goddess Isis, she is I'm going to talk about the famous story so that you know exactly who I'm talking about. If you don't, please ask questions, as I said before. So Goddess Isis, she married her brother, because it was done back then. He's called Osiris. They were so in love. Isis is called the goddess of 10,000 names. She's said to be more rebel than 1,000,000 human men and physically stronger than 100 male gods. She is an extremely powerful being, a feminine being, and yet she is completely surrendered in devotion and love to her partner, to her husband. And I find that really beautiful. No matter how strong and independent you are, you can still accept a man in your life and give him the love that he deserves. And when I talk about all this feminine divinity and all that stuff, I am not against men. I love men. I have really wonderful man in my life. I'm very lucky and blessed in that way. And I love my father as well. Although I probably did have a lot of father wounds that I've healed over time, but now I have a really wonderful relationship. Anyway, all that to say that even though we are really strong, amazing women, Isis shows us the example that you can still allow yourself to be in the passive, really loving, soft, sweet, sensual rosiness, because we love that. When we're in love as women, we love being in that state, and there's nothing to be ashamed of in being in that softness. So she was really in love. We'll talk about her in the present as a living story. So she is really in love with her husband, Osiris. Osiris was a very powerful god, and they have a brother. The brother killed Osiris. This woke up the active side of Isis, the anger, the holy anger and justice, and what the fuck, you do not touch my man. I am gonna friggin' massacre you and bring him back to life. And it's amazing because I love these stories, because it shows us that it's not bad to be angry. We're always told, oh, don't be angry. Oh, don't do this, don't do that, blah, blah. Actually, sometimes you have to be angry in life, and you have to go and get what you want because you deserve it. And it's divine justice, and you're allowed to fight for what you want and what you feel you deserve in life. So her active side really woke up, and she went to find the body of Osiris and brought him back to life. Immediately, the brother killed him again, and this time he cut Osiris into 14 pieces and distributed the pieces around Egypt so that Isis could not bring him back to life. So Isis has the magic healing power of bringing back to life, but up until then, her healing power can only, according to the stories, could only bring people back to life when they're in a whole piece. That's why the brother cut the pieces up, so that she couldn't bring him back to life. Out of this love and anger, the passive and active, she turned herself into a bird, and she flew around Egypt and recuperated every single piece of Osiris, brought them back by the river banks of the river Nile, and with her sisters and other women from the village, they sewed all the pieces of this dead body back together. And then they mummified him so they would stay nice and strong in one piece. Then Isis, in her neutral state, stepped away from the attachment of the love and the attachment of the anger, so that she could bring her full magic in, because sometimes we do need to detach so that the healing powers can really come in. And remember that we are not the only ones acting in this healing. Although we are parts of God and have amazing capabilities, it's even more powerful when we open up a channel and let God and the divine do the healing instead of us, and to be humble enough to realize that that is happening. And even Isis went into that neutral state, brought all of her powers and capabilities together, and allowed the true powerful channeling to happen, and brought him back to life. And then she unmummified him, and with his full body, she made love to him, and with a sex magic, continued to heal him and really bring his full self. And she was impregnated at this moment with Horus, their son. Okay, that's it. We're not going to go into Egyptology and all of that. It was just to really explain how these, even in just this one story that is really famous, we see all the aspects coming in at the right time in order for her to be the full powerful healer that she is. So for us, it's important to do that. So it's now go back to the golden triangle of Isis, which is the really strong healing modality. And I think, Ines, you have witnessed this power. Sorry to put you in. Actually, I shouldn't have named you. I'm sorry about that. I love you. So I've been doing golden triangle healing for a long time now. And I did a lot with Ines. That's why I mentioned her. But so, first of all, before you can heal anyone, whatever modality you are using, Reiki. Oh, because Armel, you're also a Reiki master. Yeah. Or level 2. Yeah. Oh, no, you are master. Okay, cool. Well done. So if you're using Reiki, or what's the other ones? Lochua, I can't remember. There's so many different healing modalities. And if you're using sound healing as well, I love using sound. Anything you're using, for it to have its full potent healing power, the person has to be whole. And this is something that we are not taught in these, because I also do Reiki, so I know we're not taught this concept. But with the power of Isis and the golden triangle, you first get to bring someone's pieces all back together. Because in life, sometimes we give pieces of ourselves away, sometimes pieces are taken away from us. When traumatic things happen to us, bits of our souls or bits of our energies get blocked here and there and get stolen, and all these kinds of concepts. So it's really important to start with bringing all the pieces back together so that you have a whole person in front of you before you act on the healing. So this is something special that happens with the golden triangle healing, is that you allow Isis to come through. So you create a portal with a triangle. It's not just a triangle, as I said earlier, but for the sake of it, the main piece of this sacred geometry is the triangle, which is why it's called the golden triangle of Isis. So you create a portal and you allow Isis to come in. You detach yourself. You get in neutral mode. You detach yourself and you allow the healing to come through to bring the person back together. And there's loads of intention and symbols that you do, and you bring all these pieces back together. And this is what I did with Ines that I was talking about earlier. Bring all these pieces back. And then you also create forms and shapes around the person's body. And now going back to frequency, you are elevating the person's frequency through this alignment of different shapes around the body. I see Ahmed nodding like, you're getting this. Well, especially as a Reiki. I mean, a lot of people who do Reiki don't use the symbols. I always use the symbols. To me, it's the most powerful part of Reiki. The symbols are so magic and they really open portals. I'm not dissing Reiki when I talk about the golden triangle. Love Reiki. And the amazing thing is that the golden triangle, I've noticed this. When I got initiated, first of all, when I was initiated in Reiki, like, sorry, we say attuned. When I was attuned to Reiki, everything I did became much more powerful. When I got initiated to the golden triangle of Isis, that's where things really changed. The healing, it almost, I don't know, because I don't want to say not everyone will be able to do everything, and I don't want to just say nonsense, although I have people here who can witness what I'm saying. But since I've been initiated on the golden triangle of Isis, the healing happens almost instantly. People will just be in the circle that I open and the healing starts. People can feel it. It's very, very powerful. And although you probably don't know that's why that happened, but when you come into the sacred space with a priestess of Isis, could be anyone, I'm not special, who does the shapes in the space as people enter or before people come in, just being in that space is already like, whoa, something's happening. So it really is a very strong modality. And if you're already initiated to other things or continue to grow on your path during your life, that will become stronger. Okay, so let's just get really comfy, get back to closing our eyes, deep breaths. And remembering that today is a very special 888 spiritual portal. And we're going to use that portal to traverse the world and go through this magical portal to meet Isis. And so with your eyes closed, in your comfortable position, I'm going to invite you into a visualization. To start off with, I want you to imagine and visualize yourself standing up and walking to the door of the room that you are in, and just face that closed door. And know that behind this door is the portal. So just stand in front of this door for a moment. Maybe you can place your hands on the door and take in the feelings, the sounds, the sensations of this door to the portal. And now I want you to put your hand onto the handle and prepare yourself to open this door to the portal. And when you're ready, we're going to open this door. And now you're face to face with this magical portal that holds perfectly in the space of the door. And you can already hear, some sounds of the river behind this portal. You can feel the heat. And now, as you walk through this magical portal, swoosh, you're now on the other side. And you are there in the full heat of the Egyptian sun. And you look around and you see the River Nile. And you can feel the freshness of the river. And you decide to walk. And as you walk along the riverbank, you see in the distance the temple of Isis. And you recognize that this is your temple of initiation. You walk up to this temple. You slowly get closer and closer. There are some really grand steps leading up to this temple. And you walk up. And you walk into the temple. And you look around. In the center, you see a pool. A rectangular pool entirely made of solid gold. But you can see the water inside the pool from where you are. As you get closer, you realize that the pool is filled with beautiful flowers, roses. It's filled with water and roses, and it smells incredible. And around the pool, there is a platform fully made of gold with little steps to walk up into the pool. And as you walk up the little steps up to the pool, you see that there is a great, grand statue of Isis standing above the pool. And she's also made of complete solid gold. And she invites you into the pool of roses. And as you step into the pool, you feel that the water is really warm. And the flowers smell even better now that you're close up. And you feel so welcomed. You feel amazing. And suddenly there are 4 fires that have just lit themselves up in the 4 corners of the temple, making the space glow in a low, deep orange light. And you feel so secure and safe and loved. And you're bathing in this beautiful water full of roses. You look up and you see the grand statue of Isis. And she is turning to you. And in a familiar voice, she speaks to you. Listen carefully to her words. What does she say? How does she say it? What is her invitation? And now she takes your hand into her hand. And you fully understand her message. You look around and you know exactly where you are. You know exactly where this temple is. And you will always be able to find it again. Come back here whenever you want to, whenever you need to speak with Isis, or to center yourself in the pool of roses, or to warm yourself by the fire, or to take some alone time. You know where this space is now. You can stay here a little longer. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes, put your head under the water. Remember the room you're in and teleport yourself back here, now, in the present moment, in your comfortable space. And always remembering the words that you heard or the sensations that you felt. And if you need more time, you can go back there in your dreams, or tonight as you fall asleep. You can go back through the portal, walk along the river, walk up to the temple, into the pool, and hear the words again. But for now, you're back here in your comfortable space, and you can take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And gently, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and welcome yourself back here. If you want to take notes or draw something, you can do that now. Take a moment to embody the images that you saw. Take them in and remember them, or write them. Right, so I'm going to carry on now. You can stay in your comfortable positions, and if you're still taking notes, that's fine. I want to talk to you about the full initiation that I have prepared. So I learned the Golden Triangle method from a well-known teacher, and the 8-week initiation that I have created and that I am so peacefully excited about, if that makes sense to you. It's 8 weeks because there is first an introduction to foundational sacred geometry. Then there is the initiation to the Golden Triangle method. And then there's also foundational teachings in plant ceremony, where I teach exactly how to create and guide a plant ceremony with rose, with hibiscus, and with lavender. I also teach you, so basically, it's how to become a priestess, and you learn everything. But it's not only about becoming a priestess in the sense of, so a priestess, just like priest, is just a person who is the link between people and God. You're just there to help people find their own way. Priestess isn't, for some reason, the word priest is totally normal. But when we say priestess, it sounds really like, oh, goddess. But no, I'm not saying goddess. I really am saying priestess, the link. You don't have to be a healer. You don't have to hold a ceremony when you're a priestess. It can be simply opening up a channel between you and the divine so that you are guided, so that you no longer need an extra person in between you and God, so that you can find your own way. I will always need the help of others. I mean, I always go to different people for all sorts of stuff. But being guided to God, I know that that is my role. And I have fully embodied that, and I don't need anyone's help on that front. So you can become your own complete channel, receiving your answers all the time. And I teach you how to consistently open up your channel to the divine, how to cleanse, purify, and protect this channel so that you always receive clear messages. Because a lot of us are channeling already, but when the messages aren't clear or when the channel isn't really protected, sometimes you get some interference. So that is something I teach on. I'll also, in that initiation, so you get the first initiation onto the Golden Triangle, and then at the end there's a second initiation on the full path, once you've learned everything that you need to learn to be a Golden Priestess. So that includes sacred geometry, plant ceremony, the Golden Triangle of Isis, how to purify and cleanse your channel. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. You will journey like we just did, but over much longer periods, because I had to do quite a quick journey, and I hope that you still got something out of it, because that's a really important one, the first meeting with Isis. But there is, on one of those weeks, I think it's week 5 in the program, where you get a journey every single day. And it's not just what we did. You journey to different parts of yourself to face your darkness, to face the stuff you've lived through your life. It's a tough week, but it's amazing when you come out of that, having faced your darkness. It's such an important part of the process to then understand why these things happen to you, or why you went through certain things, why you have these wounds, and to then heal them. And by the end of the 8 weeks, you now understand how to be your full, powerful self without even thinking of being a healer or whatever. You get to understand who you are, your mission in life, how to heal yourself, and then how to then bring this to other people, how to heal people. I don't teach how to initiate, because that's another longer process if you want to learn that. But at the end of that, you are now a Golden Priestess. You can hold space, you can hold a ceremony, and everything you already do will be so much more powerful because of you understanding your full multidimensionality and how to be in your full power. So that's the one that starts on the 8th of October at 8 p.m. Maybe 8 p.m. We'll see about that. We can arrange whatever is the best time. So I have a coach who's been guiding me through this as well. I have several people guiding me on my way. And so they valued this offer at £3,000, but I decided to do it for 888. So it's less than a third, but it's the first time I'm doing this full initiation, and I know that it has to be £888 to be in full alignment with what I'm teaching. But it will be the first time and only time that it will be at this price, and it's also the only one you get to do this year in the year of 8. So if this interests you, I'm not asking for an answer now. If this interests you, we can have a call and talk about it. You can message me. I am just so excited about this. I think it's the best thing I've ever created. I can't wait. And today, being the first 888 portal of the year, and entering and introducing you all to this offer today, is just, I can just feel like the power swishing through the air. Anyway, there we go. Does anyone have any questions first about the 8-week initiation? Does anyone have any questions about that immediately, or you can text me later if you prefer? Okay. Yeah, Ines, you can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hey.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have many, but one of them right now. Is it only online, or
Yes.
do you it's only online?
It's 8 weeks live online. So we have 8 live calls, and then I also email you different studies, meditations throughout the week. It's not as intense as Glow 555 that you did before. As in, it's not like all day, every day trauma release and intense stuff. It's self-paced. So we have a 1 live call every week that will probably be 2 hours, I'm realizing. And then throughout the week, you will pace yourself and do the meditations as you feel and as you want. Yeah. Any other questions? So you can do this from anywhere in the world. And I specially created this because most of you have all moved away. Ahmel is still around. If you do this, we can also do maybe some one-to-ones in between, since we live in the same town. Okay, I'm going to take this as there's no more questions on the program. And of course, as I said, we can chat on messages, email, or phone calls. And now I would love to open the floor for those who are still around and who want to continue just a few more minutes. If anyone wants to share about their experience of the journey to Egypt, or anything about tonight, or how you feel in the portal, if there's anything like that, please just feel free to open your microphone and tell us about it. You can also type it up if you prefer. And you can also speak French if you prefer, because I will understand anyway. Does anybody want to share anything?
I'm happy to share something.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I've had a very busy few months with work, definitely more in my masculine, active phase, actually to the point of burnout recently.
Oh.
Yeah, and which was a very physical experience for me. And it's not something that I experience very often. So it was really, yeah, surprising and kind of, you know, it was a very clear indicator of having been stuck in like one energy for a while. So that really resonated for me. And like going on the journey with you just now, like to meet Isis, and just opening that door and envisioning and journeying to that point, and then being faced with Isis or that greater aspect of myself. I received the message to just slow down and trust my higher self and trust my instincts. And just that sense of like surrendering was just really appreciated. And yeah, that's just what I feel like I'm left with, having had that experience. So thank you. Thanks everyone for making that space for it.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think a lot of us can relate to being stuck in the active mode. And wow, I'm sorry you were almost at burnout. Jeez, we have to catch up. In case it wasn't noticeable enough, Emily is my cousin. We have the same face. And I'm in the UK right now, so it'd be amazing to catch up if you have a moment. Wow. That's so cool. I'm happy that you had that experience with the journey as well. Just reading the message. Thank you. Sorry, we've had to attend to mum. Okay, we'll watch the video. Okay, that's fine. Does anybody else want to share anything while we're all here still together? Ahmed, would you like to share something? I can see your smile, but I know you're shy, so.
Merci déjà pour. Je vais parler en français, ce sera plus simple parce que
Ça
j'ai du mal à le parler.
Pas de problème.
Et merci pour ce moment-là. J'ai appris plein de choses. C'est très, très intéressant. Et j'ai bien aimé la méditation où j'ai bien visualisé. J'adore Isis. J'ai même un de mes chats que j'avais appris Isis aussi parce que je suis une grande fan d'Égypte. J'adore. Et Isis, ouais, c'est particulier. Ouais. C'est quelque chose qui m'attire beaucoup. Donc, à creuser un peu peut-être pour voir s'il y a de plus. Voilà.
Wow. Would you like me to translate or should we just leave it in French? What would you prefer? Armel, est-ce que tu préfères que je traduise ou que je laisse tel quel en français?
Oh, tu peux le traduire après pour tout le monde.
Okay. So, Armel, oh, sorry, I was in the conversation and I've forgotten some parts, but that you love Isis, you've been called to Isis for a long time, and your cat is called Isis, and you have a really strong attachment to Egypt. So you want to go and dig a bit further onto that. I didn't know that you like goddess Isis. We haven't talked about that. Very interesting. And so had you heard about the Golden Triangle before?
Non, j'avais pas entendu. J'avais entendu la notion de trinité.
La quoi?
La notion de trinité, le triangle.
Ah oui.
Ça, je l'avais entendu parler, mais plus en détail comme ça, non. Et c'est pour ça que je suis contente d'être venue participer parce que j'ai appris plein de trucs et vraiment, du coup, je vais un peu plus creuser la question de mon côté. Mais c'est vrai que c'est bien, ouais. C'est avec le neutre, le côté masculin, le fait que les femmes, on est les trois en fait, et ouais, accepter sa part de masculin, féminin, et puis aussi prendre du recul pour pouvoir atteindre le haut, pour pouvoir bien canaliser. C'est vrai que parfois c'est pas facile de le faire, et d'ailleurs dans la méditation j'ai eu comme un message qui me disait justement que me perdais un peu, qu'il fallait que je revienne dans mon centre pour pouvoir atteindre justement parce que des fois, c'est vrai que comme je suis sensible, j'ai du mal à que les émotions et des fois, ça prend un peu le dessus et je suis pas très connectée et c'est comme ça. Mais bon, après, c'est vrai que ça m'a fait une petite piqûre de rappel de, oui, apprendre à prendre de la hauteur et pour mieux se mettre voilà, être plus dans le neutre, plus ouvert et voilà, pour mieux aider après. Merci, Javena.
Thank you as well. And it's true, it isn't easy. The neutral point is the one that we never talk about, because in this society, if you're in that neutral point in meditation and kind of like a monk, you're not really normal. But actually, everyone has that aspect within themselves. But it's not one that is very encouraged in the day-to-day life. We're encouraged to really be present all the time, really be there, you know. And actually stepping back feels really good sometimes, and it does take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to be in the non-effort because we're so used to being fully active. So it's not easy, but it takes practice. That's all. Just like everything. Everything can be achieved. Everything can be done. Nothing is impossible. And so Armel received the message to come back to her center and find this neutral point during the meditation. That's why we're talking about this. Wow. How was it? All the stuff I talked about, was that kind of really something that you already all knew, or was there new stuff, new concepts? Was it interesting? What were you thinking about all that? Like, what was your take from it? I'm talking to anyone. And if you're watching the replay, you can email me about it.
I really loved it. Really, really loved it. I feel like it's something that was missing. It's difficult to explain. It's like the feeling I really needed to hear this. All of what you said, I really needed it at this time. It's something I knew, but I feel like it wasn't the right time for me to understand, like in full consciousness, what it means, what it holds, everything about it. And I'm really happy and really, really happy because I feel I have this feeling that it's the right moment. It's really weird. It's probably one of the first time ever it's that strong. Like you really need to hear this right now. And so I just want to just keep like taking it in. This is how I feel right now. I'm so happy.
Wow.
So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I know what you mean, because I also feel like literally this moment is the right moment. And I knew that when I chose this date, but I didn't know the extent of what that meant. Because all day today, I haven't been excited or stressed. I've been so peaceful, and I've just been so trusting that it's exactly the right time. And also, talking about God can be very frightening because there's so much weirdness and people don't like talking about God because it reminds them of so many horrible things of their own life, or what they see on TV, or what they hear about. And so even for me, that I've been talking about God for a long time, but if you look at my Instagram, I don't talk much about God in the word God or divine, because it's like you try and be careful. But I've received the message that I have to talk about God and make it something so simple, so clear, so easygoing, easy to talk about, like it's nothing major. And the lesson that it's time now to bring back the idea of the divine and to teach people on how to talk about the divine, how to make it something non-religious, because that's really hard to do. When you use the word God, that straight away, whatever language you use it in is going to be associated with the most common religion of that language, of that culture. And so, yeah, I have been really channeling messages that to me feel very pure and clear and outside of religion. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I can't remember now. Oh yeah, and today is the day. Literally during the 888 portal, it was like a slap in the face. It's like, okay, Joe, you got to do it now. And I had all my different, my business coach, my spiritual guides, my mentor, all of them were like, Joe, you have to create this now. And so I listened and I've done it, and I'm actually not scared. Like 2 weeks ago when I started mentioning it on Instagram, I almost had a panic attack. I don't even know why. And now it just feels like the most normal thing in the world. So there is a thing about divine timing, and the moment where we can talk about it and the moment when we can receive it. And right now I'm here and you're here because we have linked up in that perfect divine timing of readiness. Yeah. I could blab on, can't I? Anyway. Does anyone want to share anything else? Any thoughts, any emotions? Or we can end it if you're all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to email you all the replay and say thank you everyone for watching today's class, and I will see you soon. And you can email me at jawina@hotmail.com for any questions. Mwah. I love you so much. Thank you all. Thank you both of you for being here today, and I'll speak to you both very soon. À bientôt les filles.
À bientôt, Joanna.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bisous.